At the time of this writing, it is fall already. Many areas in Kentucky and Tennessee had abnormally dry conditions that started in late July, but there have been just enough scattered showers in some areas to keep us from being in a hard drought in September. But Hurricane Helene's tropical rains effectively ended the drought conditions as we ended September. The temperatures trended cooler as we entered October. The thing is, I see many weather people posting about how this fall and even winter will be warmer than usual. This time I'm going to go against what everyone thinks except what a very few are saying, and I will give my reasoning in this outlook. The latest winter 2024 through 25 forecast data trends have been warmer with each new run. I don't deny that, but there are signs in the global weather patterns that a different picture is likely for our fall and winter. The first thing we should look at is the North Atlantic Oscillation, or NAO for short. This graphic shows a different phase of the NAO and how it affects our temperatures in North America. You can see the negative phase is what we want if we are to see a cold and maybe snowy winter. The latest ECMWF seasonal model forecast, released a little over a week ago, calls for a strong positive NAO over winter of 2024 through 25. You can see the low pressure anomaly over Greenland and high pressure over the United States, the Atlantic, and Europe. The temperature forecast also shows a typical positive NAO pattern, which would mean a warmer winter than normal over much of the United States and Europe. This is because a positive NAO helps to lock the colder air into the northern regions. So this is one reason many are saying warmer than usual fall and winter. But there are things at play that contradict the mainstream forecast and actually show a signal for the NAO to go into a negative phase for the winter 24 to 25. One thing that will affect this is the formation of a La Nina in the Pacific. Currently, we're seeing a cold pool starting to emerge in the Pacific called the La Nina. You can see it in the latest ocean anomaly analysis. It shows colder than normal surface waters in the central and eastern Pacific regions starting to develop. A La Nina significantly influences tropical rainfall, pressure patterns, and the way the ocean and the atmosphere interacts. This changes the circulation globally, especially the winter temperature and snowfall patterns. This is an ECMWF forecast image showing a long-range outlook with a weak La Nina developing and lasting over the fall and winter. A La Nina is not something new, as we actually had 3 La Nina winters in the past 4 years. So what makes it different this year to see it as a potential cold air factor? It is the location. A La Nina can either be based in the eastern or central Pacific, giving its influence a much different result. The image shows a graph that compares the differences between the different types of La Nina events. It shows the NAO phase from November to May for both types. You can see that the Eastern Pacific La Nina has a clear signal for a negative NAO, especially in January and February. The black line is the NAO being positive when the La Nina is in the Central Pacific, and the blue line is the NAO showing negative when the La Nina is in the Eastern Pacific, as it is now. This will create conditions for a potentially colder than normal winter over the central and eastern United States and Europe. One last thing is the effects of the polar vortex. Currently, a cold core is developing over and around the polar circle in the stratosphere. This is the heart of the polar vortex, and the colder it gets, the stronger the polar vortex can become. But there is an area of less cold temperatures over Siberia, defying the usual seasonal cooling. This is rather unusual for this time of year, and is also why NASA forecasts show the temperatures rising to normal levels. But the temperature is currently dropping fast in the middle stratosphere at around 18.5 miles altitude. The temperature change shows ongoing cooling over and around the North Pole with a strong temperature drop in the next 12 days. As we get deeper into late fall and winter months, a potential negative NAO pattern developing would disrupt the polar vortex and bring good potential for some winter weather across parts of the central and eastern United States and Europe. The polar vortex would displace the polar jet stream, bringing colder temperatures and winter storms from the polar regions down into the central and eastern United States. Warmer and drier winter weather will prevail over the southern states from about central Tennessee southward. Where this boundary sets up between the cold air to the north and the warmer air to the south, a battle zone with the threat of ice storms become a possibility into early to mid-December. Of course, the negative NAO does not guarantee cold and snow, as it also has its own variations, but it sure does make it easier to bring winter into our region. But don't forget about the Alaskan or Aleutian Low, still in place off the coast of Alaska. It will still spin off disturbances, bringing a variety of precipitation types over the winter. Keep an eye on the evolution of a southern branch jet stream and the developing polar vortex. For October, spikes in daily highs will be ongoing into the second week, but humidity levels should remain comfortable. The first of several cool fronts has passed through the region dry, resulting in daytime highs in the low to mid-70s. The good thing is that the high pressure which pushed the front through will also help to deflect any storms in the Gulf away from areas already hard hit by Helene. Already a new hurricane has formed in the Gulf. Hurricane Milton intensified rapidly and within 36 hours had already become a powerful Category 5 hurricane. The models say the storm will weaken a bit as it comes ashore near Tampa and moves eastward across Florida and into the Atlantic. After that, indications are that additional disturbances will develop in the Gulf region, but will be deflected even further southward away from the U.S. It is important to note that hurricane season doesn't end until November 30th. Typical October weather will be the rule as we complete the first full week of October, but around the 13th, our weather becomes unsettled as colder air attempts to push into the region. Showers and a few thunderstorms develop as a strong cold front barrels through the Ohio Valley. It appears that once the colder air settles in, there will be a possibility for some areas to pick up the first frost chances by around the 16th or 17th. After mid-month, the rest of October looks mostly dry, but the chance for a major severe weather threat will increase at some point during the second half of October, as progressively cooler temperatures clash with tropical air from the Gulf. Highs will range from the upper 60s to low 70s overall, with small frost chances possible leading up to Halloween. As November arrives, much cooler temperatures drop highs into the mid-60s and lows in the upper 40s. As we enter the second week, temperatures take a nosedive, with highs in the upper 40s. It will be showery as lows drop into the lower 30s, and we see our first snow chances of wet snow showing up. The unsettled and chilly pattern continues through the third week of November. In the days leading up to Thanksgiving, a storm system will bring more rain, with more snow chances returning for the remainder of the holiday weekend. December continues the chilly pattern as several storm systems move across the region. Unfortunately, the potential for icy conditions looks possible around the 10th or 11th before a deeper layer of cold air arrives to change everything to snow. For the rest of December, the Aleutian Low will begin spinning out rapid-fire storms every 2 or 3 days that will bring both rain and snow. By the Christmas holiday, a storm system arrives with a chance of rain changing to a mixture of snow and sleet. Another storm on or around New Year's Eve will end 2024 on a snowy note. The polar vortex is well developed by this time and will make its presence known in 2025. January looks colder than usual, and even the typical mid-January thaw will be shortened as cold and snow is more likely than years past. Late January and early February, Arctic outbreaks across most of the country will be courtesy of the polar vortex. Bitter cold may occur during this time with more snow than usual. Strangely, by March, the winter will relax as the days grow longer and spring shows up around the middle of the month. Overall, the winter of 2024 into 25 look to be memorable. Bear in mind, this is a very long-range outlook that has many factors that can change. I have given you the science on this outlook, but some parts are also mixed with my gut instinct. If nothing else, maybe we can all share snow cream recipes.